Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 2nd Plan Commission ARB meeting. If you have any electronic gadgets, please silence them. And are there any people online besides Carolyn? Okay. Okay, thank you. We'll start with the roll call.
Steve Lichtenfeld,
Here.
Carolyn Gatus,
Here.
Bridget McAndrew,
Here.
Bob Denlow,
Here.
Helen DeFate,
Here.
Kami Waldman,
Here.
Dave Gibson.
Okay, before we start, I'd like to say we have an agenda change. We're going to start with new business items 2 and 3, which is 216 Lancaster Drive. And then we will follow with new business item 1, the 515 South Central Avenue conditional use permit. And following that, old business 515 South Central, the site plan review and the architectural review. And that will allow 216 Lancaster to move along quickly. So with that, we have minutes from the previous meeting on September 18th. Are there any changes? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. So we'll begin with 216. Ryan?
The subject property is located on the east side of Lancaster between University Drive and Kingsbury Boulevard. The property is zoned R2 and is located in the Clayton Gardens Urban Design District. The project scope consists of the demolition of an existing structure and the construction of a new single-family home. A full analysis of site plan review criteria can be found in the staff report, and I'll summarize some of the key components. HVAC and trash are proposed to be enclosed with cedar fencing. Impervious coverage is proposed to be 41.8%. The proposed water runoff is 0.65 cubic feet per second, which represents a 0.08 cubic feet per second increase. Downspouts at the front and rear of the property will connect to flow wells and stormwater storage beds at the front of the property. A sump pump is proposed to connect to pop-up emitter located towards the southwest corner of the property. Catch basins are proposed to be located within the new driveway. The catch basins and flow well are proposed to be connected to an existing MSV stormwater infrastructure. Existing canopy coverage is 4,329 square feet, with all existing canopy coverage proposed to be removed. The plan proposes 4,500 feet of replacement coverage, and this falls 775 square feet short of the required replacement coverage. The plan also exceeds the native species requirements with a 84.6% native proposed. The height, setback, and impervious coverage are, as proposed, are in conformance with the requirements of the R2 Single Family Dwelling District and the Clayton Gardens Urban Design District. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions. To ensure future maintenance and protection of the flow well and stormwater storage bed, the applicant shall record a deed restriction identifying the locations and details of the system with the St. Louis County Recorder of Deeds and provide proof of the recording with the building permit submission. And 2, the applicant shall either revise proposed landscape plan to meet canopy coverage requirements or shall make a contribution to the forestry fund compensatory to the requirements of section 405.4110.c.2 prior to the removal of any on-site trees and prior to the issuance of a building permit.
Okay, thank you. And the applicant, please identify yourself, address, and who you represent.
I am Joe Schlag with Jim Valesky Architects, where I am representing Rob and Sherry Ann Myers for their new home at 216 Lancaster Drive.
Anything to add to the staff report?
I know that,
Site plan.
sure. I had mentioned to Ryan that the landscape architect and the owners are aware of the canopy coverage being under, and that their discussions, they're okay with the payment for the difference. They felt that in order to get enough sunlight and all that to the vegetation that's proposed, they needed to not add more canopy coverage than is proposed on these plans, if that makes sense.
So the coverage that we see is what they're proposing to maintain, plus the added cost.
Plus the added cost, yes.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm here to answer questions.
Okay.
as best
Well,
I can.
first, Carolyn, do you have any comment on the planting? Think it's
I guess for me, um, I guess I don't understand why, I'm not seeing on the plan why you couldn't add a few more trees. So I kind of feel like it's a little bit sparse, but I mean, that's a personal choice, I guess. I think you'll find as you go out through the life of the house that you'll appreciate a little bit more shade here and there, especially in our summer months, but I'm guessing that's not my purview here, but my advice would be to add more trees and not pay the fee. I just feel like the fee doesn't cover what the trees actually would be doing for the environment. I think it's very low. But I don't know if you have a comment to that.
I understand what you're saying, but I know that the Myers and Ken Keitel of Terra Spec sat down and their proposal is what we see here to be under on the coverage and to pay the difference.
Yep.
So I, you know,
Okay,
I don't
Well-
have anything else on that.
okay, that's just my
Mhm.
comment as a certified arborist and landscape architect, so. That's,
okay, so
Fair enough.
maintaining it, that would be staff recommendation number 2.
right,
So that will stay in. And Joe, are you and the owners agreeing with staff recommendation 1?
Yes, yes.
Could you point out where the flow well and the storage bed are?
So let's see. I don't know if he has a C on his, but on sheet 1 of the,
L1?
no, it'll be on the civil plan, so it's just sheet 1. It's. I don't know if I can-
Just make sure you're in the microphone.
I'll go back.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, so on the civil drawing sheet 1, the flow well is in the front yard near the front concrete walk.
Oh, okay. Not under the walk.
Correct, in front of the walk.
And how deep is it?
He's proposing a 30-inch deep gravel bed with the 2 flow wells in it.
I see that now. Otherwise, I thought the site plan looked fine, but let's go around the commission. Bridget?
I would echo the disappointment about the trees.
Okay.
I just think, given our climate, as it continues to warm, I'm not sure why people wouldn't want to, provide, you know, more shade coverage. So you know, it's their choice, but I still think it's just disappointing from.
I'll certainly bring that up to them. I mean, we're the same way.
Okay.
you know.
But other than that, I didn't have any comments on the site plan,
thank you.
so.
Bob?
I don't have any problem with the site plan, but out of curiosity only. How is the calculation for the city forestry fund done?
That is something that the landscape architect did. I know there's a spreadsheet.
It's in the code.
It's-
There
yeah.
are, so it's automatically calculated. Our landscape, our tree protection and preservation section of our code has a dollar amount per deficiency of canopy coverage. So it's automatically calculated.
So in a situation like this, are we talking thousands of dollars
I
or?
think it was, do you have it, Ryan? We talked about this.
It's
Look at my
it's
emails,
around like
it's
$480,
$400, I
490
believe.
something.
What is it?
So that's different than the $914?
Correct. So I sent out an email earlier today with an update. The applicant reached out and they provided an updated tree chart. The one that was, your landscape plan is accurate, but the tree chart that we had didn't have that calculation in there correctly.
Oh,
They added additional coverage.
okay, which reduced the payment.
Correct.
Sorry, I missed that.
No, you're good.
Okay, that's it.
Helen,
No questions.
Amy?
No comment except for it is disappointing about the tree coverage.
I'm
Just
gonna
probably-
I'll circle
yeah.
back with them for sure, yeah.
Any comments from the audience? No? Well, we have two recommendations from the staff. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with the two staff recommendations.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the architectural review. And Ryan, we'll start with you.
The applicant is proposing to replace an existing single-story ranch house with a new two-story single-family home. Nearby homes often comprise brick of varying red or brown shades and range 1 to 2 stories. Stone is a common accent material. Entryways or windows often feature arches with stone capping. The new home is proposed to comprise red brick with an arch front entry and stone capping above doors and windows. The garage will be rear access with exposed aggregate driveway. Cedar fencing will enclose the rear yard, trash, and HVAC. Landscaping is proposed throughout the front and rear yard. The two adjacent homes were both constructed in 2005. The property to the north is comparable in height, while the property to the south is shorter and sits at a lower elevation. The Clayton Gardens Urban Design District recommends several techniques to reduce the impact of taller structures. The property uses a combination of setbacks, step downs, and plantings to mitigate the difference in height. The proposal complies with the requirements of the R2 district, Clayton Gardens Urban Design District, and architectural review guidelines. Staff are of the opinion that the proposed design and materials are compatible with the existing property and surrounding area. Staff recommend approval as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Anything to add?
I think that was a good summary. Yeah. I'm here for
Usually is.
questions. Yeah, what's that?
It usually is a
Yeah.
good summary.
Yes.
I think it's a great looking house. I think it fits into the neighborhood and it's nice to see one that isn't just a square box.
Thank you.
But I do have a question.
Yes.
You have the diagonal rowlocks on 2 of the 3 peaks, not on the 3rd.
Correct. You're asking why not on the 3rd?
Sure.
You can lead me there. Let me ask the question. And I think hierarchically, this piece to the left is stepping down and it's already proud of the area on the structure there. So the main focal point when you look at this house is the center window. We have this arched window over the kitchen sink. We have this nice 2-story feature that steps down to the side and steps down to the center. So you want your eye to go there as opposed to being pulled over to the left, which is the driveway and a 1-story feature.
Well, I accept it. I was just more
Mhm.
curious than anything about it. I think the materials look great. The detailing is very nice. We don't always see it like that with the stone materials and the brick arch with the keystone in it. I think it looks terrific.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Bridget?
I think it looks really nice too. I was a little worried that it's gonna seem so much taller than the house to the south. But you know, it sounds like with the buffering that's gonna happen and I know that the way that street slopes to, you know, it's just because naturally the way it's not gonna seem much higher to the house on the north because of that slope. So I understand that it's also like a topographical thing. But I do think the house looks really nice and I haven't heard from adjacent property. I mean, I haven't heard from anybody else.
I know
about
the
it.
Myers have said they're friendly with their neighbors and they've been showing it off to everybody that they can. So we
They own-
appreciate that as
Do
well.
they own that?
They
house?
live there now, yes, in the
Okay.
ranch. So they've been there. I don't remember the exact years, but they've been there for a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
Live and work in the area. So,
Okay, oh, great, okay, great. Thank you.
yes, thank
I
you.
don't have anything else.
Bob?
I really like the architecture of it. I love the lines of the roof. I love your entranceway. I love the curves of the doorway and the window to the left as you face it. I like the change in dimensions in the facade.
Yeah.
A really nice job you guys
Thank
did.
you. Thank you.
Helen?
I really like it, but one concern is that the brick detailing in the front, that Steve mentioned, the diagonals, that's an option cost. That's what
Labeled as an
your
option.
notes. It for the contractor to provide a cost on sheet 5.
The last that I know is that is in. So, but I do see what you say on the note.
Okay.
Plan is that they're in both of those gables.
Because I think they're very important.
Mhm.
I mean, I love the way you've detailed the brick, the stone. It's very rich, but it's very simple. And to delete that detail on the front,
Changes it all.
yeah. And 2, it'll provide some shadow and kind of reduce the height visually. So I like it, providing that stays. My other question was, why are you using siding in the kind of the vestibule on the side door?
As opposed to brick.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
they're just concerned with the cost since that's the
Yeah.
dog door. That's why,
Yeah.
yeah.
no, I was thinking a stucco
Mhm.
panel.
Yeah.
Would be more in keeping with
Mhm.
the rest of the house. And you're not going to see, it's going to be in too much shadow to
Yes.
really see that it's fake and not real stucco. Would you consider that?
I will certainly consider that. Yes, I like it.
Okay.
I like the idea.
No, those are my only 2 comments. I think it looks great. I like it. The package you put together is good.
Thank
So thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie?
I think it's a beautiful house. I really like the red brick. I think it'll help stand out from its neighbors. I like the asymmetrical look of it. As Steve mentioned, just not a square box. Really great job with the detail at the front door and the curvature of the entrance in the front door. I love all of that. So it looks really nice.
Thank you very much.
Carolyn?
Yeah, I have a comment about the diagonal detailing at the top. I can see on the left side how it resolves itself. It ends on the top of that window there. But the one to the right of this image seems to just be floating in space and not aligned with the bottom of that special window or the window below. If you're gonna do that kind of detail, it would be nice if it actually resolved down to that the white portion of the window at the below. So it isn't floating there. Do you know what I'm saying with that?
Yeah, I think the intention is that it would resolve at the sill of the special window up there, and then they're proportionally sort of mimicking each other. If that,
Okay, no, it does make sense. It just
Yeah.
looks like it's a little bit
a little
off.
too floaty. Okay, yep,
Yeah, to me, like maybe there's another brick course. Maybe you turn the brick
yeah.
course there
sure,
to
yeah,
finalize it or something, if that ends up
Yeah.
happening. I really love the door, and honestly, this house looks a little bit like mine. It's hard for me to criticize at all because it literally looks like mine. So in the front anyway, and we have more limestone than that. The base would be limestone, but mine's what, 1920 house, so that's the difference there. But I think you've done a really nice job. I do have a question about the asphalt roofing. I know they're trying to save costs, but on some of the elevations, it seems like there's a lot of roof going on. And I'm just afraid that it's gonna be a little bit overpowering visually. Let me see which elevation I was, hold on. The rear east elevation,
Mhm.
that's a lot of roof going on. It's on 6.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's some landscaping back there, the trees, and I know that the neighbors back there have trees as well from my recollection. But
okay. Well,
it's
I'm
fitting
with
that
you.
second floor up there
Uh-huh.
into the roof as well.
Okay.
Carolyn, let me jump in with
Sure.
that roof. As we often see on the flat elevations, like on sheets 5 and 6, we don't get any foreshortening. But when you look back
Right.
at the rendering on the front, the roof on the front looks much lower because you're seeing it slope away from you.
Yeah, but still, if you look at 6, it looks compared to the front on 5.
Yeah.
The front on 5 looks more like what you're talking about, Steve. And then you go to 6, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Well,
But
6.
I mean, if I had my choice, like our house, it would be a slate roof, is I guess my point. But that's a cost. Yeah.
It is the slate imitation, the Belmont shingle that
Oh,
gives
okay.
some appearance of slate. Yeah, but it's still an asphalt shingle.
That's the one right there. You just hit it. Okay, that was just me. I think it's definitely not a box house, and I love that. I love that you're using natural brick and not painting it white or, distressing it. I think the exalting and the actual product itself as opposed to trying to mask it is always my way to go. Anyway, I'm not an ornamentalization person. Was that a word? I have COVID. I don't think anybody knows that there, but I'm trying to survive tonight. But I like the idea of using the natural material for what it really is. That's my big thing. So to me, I think it's beautiful. I really do. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Any comments from the audience? Yes. Please come up, identify yourself. Name and address.
My name is John Hartwig. I own the property directly across the street from the subject property, 219 Lancaster. I'm looking at the picture there and I'm trying to determine, is there a movement of the driveway where it currently is now to where it's going to be? I can't really tell. Is it going to be shifted around?
I can. Links here too.
Is you're showing, please talk into the microphone.
Yes, yes. So I have the civil drawing up, that sheet 1 we were looking at before. And so the curb cut here is the same spot.
Same spot.
Yeah.
It didn't shift
Right,
over to the
and-
left or right.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I had. That's
But the
all I-
drive itself does veer. So right now you can see it here.
It's a straight
It-
drive, it's straight
It
shot
veers a
right
little
now.
over to the left now, yeah.
Oh,
around the
because you're gonna
house.
have a rear entry
Correct,
garage.
rear entry
I
garage.
see. Good, good. All right, that's my only question.
Thank you.
Okay, Helen, you were suggesting a material in the porch area.
In the little vestibule at the side door, there's a nice side entry into the mudroom. The door is recessed in. The walls there are siding. And I was suggesting a stucco look-alike panel.
Yeah, could it be like a hardy panel, like a stucco finish? Yeah. Yeah.
It would be more in character than this little bit of siding, which I think would be harder to install.
Helen, can you turn your mic on?
Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was suggesting a a stucco-like panel
Okay.
as opposed to siding.
Joe, would you agree to that?
Yes, if we need to do that, yeah, like a hardy stucco finish
Yeah,
board. And
I
then-
think it would probably be cheaper,
Yeah.
you know,
could be,
than
Yeah,
siding,
yeah.
cutting each little piece. You can just cut it and.
Right, put
Oh,
it up, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we'd agree to that.
Well, let's include that in our motion. Besides that, we have only a recommendation to approve as submitted. So shall we move to a motion?
Do you want to also add the condition about maintaining the diagonals?
the diagonal brick patterns. Okay. I move that we approve as submitted with the requirement that the diagonal brick pattern remain as shown on the elevations, and that the pattern end at either the window head or the window sill.
Of the ornamental window,
Yeah, the
Yes.
ornamental.
yes,
One of them ends at the head, the other one,
yes,
And
right,
the
I think
sill.
the intent is the sill, yeah, of that.
okay. And the condition that hardy stucco board, stucco panel be used instead of lap siding.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, sounds good.
Thank you all.
When will you get the building permit?
Well, we're pretty much done with these, other than these couple clarifications on so we'll be submitting soon.
To you and the owner, good luck with it. We'll look forward to it being completed. Thank you. Now we'll move on to new business item 1, 515 South Central, the conditional use permit.
The subject property is located on the west side of South Central Avenue, roughly mid-block between the street's intersection with Davis Drive and the street's terminus at Merrimack Elementary School. The property is developed with a two-story single-family home and is zoned R2. The applicant is seeking to construct a residential addition and make improvements to the front and rear yards. The proposed addition includes a proposed accessory dwelling unit, which requires approval of a conditional use permit. A full analysis of CUP criteria can be found in the staff report. The proposed ADU would be located on the lower level of the addition and complies with the size and zoning requirements. It will include egress windows and an entrance with access to the front and rear yards. The ADU is proposed to be occupied by domestic employees and is as stated in a letter provided to staff and the Plan Commission. Staff are of the opinion that proposed parking is on site is sufficient to support the ADU. Staff recommend that this board recommend approval to the Board of Aldermen with the following conditions. 1, that all conditions of Chapter 405, Article 2, Section 405.330 shall be adhered to, and that the applicant shall record a deed restriction pursuant to Item 3 under criteria review, the St. Louis County Recorder of Deeds Office, and submit proof of the required deed restrictions to the city prior to the issuance of a building permit.
Okay, thank you. Chris or Lauren?
How are you? I'm
Okay.
Chris Pike, Thomas Allen Group Architects. I think he pretty much introduced everything appropriately, so I guess questions?
Before we go around, could staff clarify the reason for the CUP, which we had not had a month ago?
Sure. Following the previous meeting where there was site plan and architecture review of the project, staff discussed the operation of the basement as it was proposed and also met with the applicant and the agent of the project to discuss this. And the basement construction meets the definition of an accessory dwelling unit, and also their intended operation to house a person who performs work on the premises meets the criteria for an accessory dwelling unit. And so staff recommended that they move forward with a conditional use permit, and they agreed.
So that then sets it up for an employed individual to live there.
Correct. Under the regulations for accessory dwelling units, it can be somebody who performs work on the property or somebody who's related to the family, but it cannot be rented out to a third party through any short-term vendor situations such as Airbnb or through any sort of long-term lease. So it has to meet the criteria, which I believe is reference number 3 in the staff report.
Okay, so then going forward, if they were to change employees, would there be any consequence to that, or would they be able to do it under the CUP?
Correct. They would be able to do it under the CUP. So a conditional use permit's not issued to a specific occupant.
Hearing that and understanding that, I understand the direction it's going now compared to what we had 4 weeks ago. And I am okay with it as long as both staff recommendations are adhered to.
Okay.
Bridget?
Anna, I just had a question in terms of just, you know, is the square footage, so in terms of like the building code and limiting how many people live, is that all based on the building permit rather than something that would go in the conditional use permit? Or-
Correct. So in our regulations for accessory dwelling units, we do have a size limit, generally square footage for an ADU. And they meet that requirement, which is 1,000 square feet. Separate from that, we have the building and occupancy regulations, which is they also conform to at this point. So with the bedrooms that they've created there, they have the appropriate egress, emergency egress that would be required and other elements. So they meet the overcrowding regulations that are in place as well.
But can more people live or up to 1,000? Do we know how many feet? Is it just 2 people then? Is that up to 1,000 square feet?
No, so the number of people, the 1,000 square feet does not dictate the number of people that could reside there. Based on the way that our accessory dwelling units are set up, it is not enforced the same way that we would do an occupancy permit for a rental unit, where we would actually go in and they'd measure, and there's a calculation that would be made. So in this instance, there is no limit set within the conditional use permit for the number of people that would reside within the ADU as it stands.
So then,
Oh, you're asking how it's set, the occupancy?
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
curious, and I don't, you know, I'm just curious because usually with our accessory dwelling units, you know, there might be an au pair living there, or, you know, like a grandparents or something. So I'm just curious how we do that. I mean, I just want to make sure that based on the square footage, I don't know, you know,
True. We in the past haven't used put a specific number within the ADU CUP to use all of the abbreviations, but for when the building permit reviews this, there will be other codes that we can enforce related to overcrowding or the number of occupants that are permitted inside of the house. But based on the review that we completed was based on 2 bedrooms, which is what they are proposing within the area that is designated for the ADU under this conditional use permit. So based on the 2 bedrooms is how we evaluated do we feel there was a need for additional parking requirements, or is parking met with what they have on site, or how the impacts of the ADU might be felt within the operation of the single family home. So we kind of addressed it based on the 2 bedroom proposed.
I think since the requirements are certainly met, you know, by the code, I wouldn't have any problem certainly, you know, proceeding forward and recommending it to the Board of Aldermen.
Okay.
Bob,
No questions.
Helen,
No questions.
Amy,
No questions.
Carolyn,
No comments.
Okay. You and the occupant, you understand and agree with the two staff recommendations?
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
Their hands up, Steve.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we have hands up. Nancy? Nancy? Oh, there.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm the neighbor that lives on the south side of the house, and I just wanted to clarify the occupancy situation. So do all of the people that live in the home under this situation, the employee's family member is also eligible, even though I think there's a child. So there's no restriction in terms of everybody having to be an employee. Is that correct?
The child is eligible.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Steve?
Yes, Steve Singer, I'm the resident along with my wife on the north side. And I wanted to verify, I submitted this question before, that the city has indeed verified that the petitioner has in fact a employee relationship with the party. Did they provide any sort of independent verification of this relationship? Which would seem to be a pretty normal requirement by the city.
They have provided a letter stating that this is a person who performs work for them on the property.
Again, my question was, did they provide any sort of third-party verification? An example would be the center of Clayton, to get a residency rate, you have to provide an independent verification of your residency, a utility bill, some sort of document that proves that. So has the party provided any check stubs, W-2s, any sort of evidence that that this employment relationship does indeed exist? I say this, and I think the city certainly knows the ongoing difficulties that this petitioner has had and their willingness to violate Clayton procedures. So it seems reasonable that the city would do its due diligence as part of this process.
Any further investigation by the city is not required. I mean, there's a lot of people who perform au pair services, cleaning services and that kind of thing, beyond the affidavits and submissions that the applicant has already submitted. The ordinance does not require anything further than that.
Anything else, Steve?
No.
Thank you. Any further comments? No? Okay, this is on the CUP. We have two recommendations, two conditions in the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Hold on one second. With the two staff recommendations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Now we will move back to old business, items 1 and 2, and we'll start with the site plan review.
So the project was originally presented to the Plan Commission Architecture Review Board at the September 5th meeting. The board voted to continue the application to the September 18th and was then postponed by the applicant to allow for Public Works to review the project's impact on adjacent easement and to allow the applicant to consider revisions to HVAC roof screening to mitigate sound and to allow the applicant to consider revisions to the facade material composition. Since the last meeting, the applicant has revised the HVAC screening to include insulated board to mitigate sound produced. Additionally, the plan includes revisions to the facade materials, which include a combination of brick and siding to better comply with the architectural review guidelines. The front and south facades are the most visible from the public right of way and comply with the material requirements. The rear and north facades fall below the requirements. Brick and stone comprise at least 75% of the facade. Secondary materials exceeding the limit established in the architecture review guidelines are not common on this block of South Central, but are more common on rear additions in the Davis Place neighborhood. Staff are of the opinion that the updated facade compositions and HVAC will result in minimal visual impact. Staff recommend approval of site plan review with the following conditions. The landscape plan depicts an existing dry creek bed that does not identify the proposed dry well and pop-up emitter. Coordinate with the landscape and civil plans to ensure damage is not done to the root system of existing trees to remain, and that the dry well will function with the dry creek. And two, to ensure future maintenance and protection of the dry well, the applicant shall record a deed restriction identifying the location and details of the system with the St. Louis County Recorder of Deeds and provide proof of the recording with the building permit submission. And then staff recommend approval of the architectural review with the following condition that any front yard paving shall match the city standard pour with an 8.5 stack mix of Merrimack sand and gravel.
Okay. Thank you. You've actually covered both ARB and the site plan, but let's talk about the site plan first. And Chris, do you have any further comment on that?
No, I do not. I think that, well, I focused mainly on the architectural because of the comments from last time about the brick and such. We have no problem adhering to any of the issues on the site plan as far as the dry creek and whatnot, though. So
We have heard from the Director of Public Works about the easement on the south side, and the city is comfortable with it, the way you're using it. I too did not have any issue with the site plan, but let's see where we are. Bridget?
I would just say, I mean, just in terms of the, because I know it's on the plans, just in terms of drainage and the, dry creek, so.
Right.
I mean, so. Because I guess, Anna, your concern, I guess, with the recommendation related to the fact that the plan doesn't identify where the proposed drop, is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on
Right.
where the drainage is going.
So the drainage is very clear on the civil plans and was reviewed for the stormwater runoff. The location of the dry well and its connection to the pop-up emitter was not shown on the landscape plan, where the overlap with the root zone, critical root zone of the trees to remain in the rear yard, that's an important place to show it. So we just wanted to call that attention to make sure that their landscape architect and their civil coordinate when they're installing the dry well so that they don't cause any damage to the trees.
Got it. I just wanted to make sure that, yes, that that everything was in place where it just.
yeah,
This everybody knows drainage is an issue over there. so I
absolutely.
just
Yeah,
wanna make sure.
we'll make sure that the location is not interfering with any of the routes. I'll have the landscape and the civil coordinated with that.
Thanks.
Mhm.
I don't have any.
And
other
and the
comments.
pop-up, I'm sorry, and the pop-up.
Emitter, yep.
Bob?
No questions.
Helen?
Yes, I have one comment. Reading the letters from the different utilities, Spire is allowing you to encroach, but they're not vacating their easement.
So they actually,
Lauren, please identify yourself.
I'm sorry,
first.
Lauren Davis. When I spoke with Spire, they told me that because it is a general municipal easement, Spire doesn't have a named easement, just like Ameren doesn't, just like the water company or sewer don't have a named specific easement. Therefore, they can't vacate an easement that isn't named in their name. So what they said was they issued, I think they called it like a non-objection letter or an encroachment like accepting that encroachment because they're not named on the easement. The city of Clayton is ultimately the one who dictates who can use that easement. So their letters were just recommendation to the municipality that they don't have any problems with the use of that portion of the easement.
Their letter says, in the event that Spire Missouri Inc. or its successors and assigns requires the utilization of the easement referenced above. And it goes on to say, they can make no promises that anything that you do, they will not down the line require you to undo so they can use that easement.
I don't know that I've seen that specifically. That might not
This
have been the
was
one that we were on.
written to Lauren
Oh, okay.
Davis.
Then maybe-
And regardless of what they've said on a phone conversation, this is what they've written. So I would like to see the word with regard to the easement that you may encroach, but not, the easement has not been vacated. Vacated is a legal
Yes, I understand.
term. So that's all I'm saying is you're free to do it. This letter says Spire can do what they want.
I'm fine with that.
And, but I think on the plans, which will be kept, everybody has their copy. It needs to be corrected. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Corrected on the plans.
Amy?
No comments.
Carolyn?
I had no comments. I think, well, I have one, Helen, I believe that those are their cover the butt notes that they put on drawings for Spire, but you're right. They could be covering their butt to a degree that could put the client in a hard place down the road. So that was a great thing to bring up, but I have no additional comments.
Okay. Any comments from the audience or online? And this is on site plan review. Steve, unmute. Thank you.
Hi, actually, it's Miriam this time. And Steve, I'm not sure if this goes under architectural review or the plan commission, but I want to go back to the unit that's going to be on the roof. I don't know how to evaluate whether what they've done and what they're proposing to do is satisfactory from our point of view. They're putting a unit that is by our bedroom. Typically, these units are on the ground. And I guess I need you all to tell me whether what they're doing satisfies the concerns we have about being in the line of the noise of their unit.
Okay, Miriam, that actually is part of architectural, but since you brought it up, let's have the architect respond to it.
Okay, so, which side is she on the,
On the north side.
the north side? Okay. Opening up my little map here. So if it was on the ground, it would actually be closer to anyone's house. And we actually have this acoustic screen, which we wouldn't have to provide technically on the ground. We would have to probably landscape or whatnot, but I would say that this acoustic panel that we're constructing to hide it visually will also help with the sound reduction, but it'll be further away from the neighbors' houses with it on the roof versus on the ground. If we put it on the ground, it'll be remarkably closer to one of the neighbors. So
then, Chris, would you say that if it were on the ground, sound would emanate and go up in all directions?
I would say, yeah. I mean, if you walk around, let's say Clayton or another city like Clayton, where there's units on roofs of buildings on some of these 2- and 3-story buildings, I feel like they're quieter. You don't hear them when you're walking on the sidewalk. That's my opinion. But I feel like that's the case when it's up above you like that. So, But with this centered on the mass of the structure, I feel like it's the furthest away it can be from the other houses. So I feel like it's a good location.
So then with it being further away from the home to the north, and it's labeled as rigid insulation. Would you
Yes.
call that acoustic?
It's what you can use in an exterior application. Some of those softer materials will disintegrate with the weather. So this is more of an exterior grade insulation. So it'll help just to keep the sound from traveling. It'll help kind of bounce it back a little bit back at the equipment. So
It would probably also make the sound go up.
it could, yeah. With the roof playing next to it, angled upward, it could be bouncing up and away, correct? Bouncing off the wall, bounce on the roof and go up. That's the kind of the goal here, so.
So if there were a sound study, we would see less sound going toward the north.
I would say. Okay. I would. Yeah, well, so the panel is gonna be on the north side and it's gonna be on the west side. So, and then the other two sides will have roof structure, which it'll bounce off and up into the air.
Are you housing Metallica in here? I'm just curious as to what the big stress is really, honestly.
I didn't understand.
Carolyn, could you clarify that?
I'm saying, are you having, sorry, 9 Inch Nails or Rolling Stones performing?
Just trying to be courteous as much as possible.
No, I know, but I'm not understanding how much noise we're talking about here. That's where I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm
the
like,
comment from last meeting was,
Okay.
is it near our bedroom windows? And it's,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I can add one thing real quickly on this drawing because it's flatter in dimensionality, if that's even a word. It looks like it's closer. When you actually look at it, the above the garage addition, I believe, is 17 or 18 feet deep before the wall where you see those two windows and then the flat roof, and that would be set back on that flat roof by several feet. There is also a driveway with complete egress to the back in between there, which is about 10 feet. So this would be at minimum about 27, 28 feet from the lot line. So even assuming that the neighbor's window is directly above that lot line, we're still looking at about 30 feet minimum from the bedroom window, which, as we all know, in Clayton is a pretty considerable distance for any unit to be from another house. Our old house on Maryland Avenue in Old Town, it was about 4 feet from the neighbor's bedroom window, unfortunately.
Lauren, following up on your comments, what we spoke about in the previous plan, there is a foreshortening effect on that
Right,
also.
exactly.
It looks
On those 2D
smaller
drawings,
and
yeah.
lower the further away it is.
Yeah.
Miriam, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. And again, I'm just gonna say that I'm relying on you all to make the assessment that is that takes our interests in mind, because I really don't have the expertise to evaluate this at all. I'm just raising the concern. On the ground, it doesn't bother me. I'm not sleeping on the ground level. I sleep up on the second floor. And that's going to be directly across. And as much as we can, we like to sleep with our windows open. So that's, if you're telling me you guys think it's great, I'm good.
Wish I had a pointer on this.
Yeah, the AC units will be located just above the word well, where the cursor is.
And she is to the north, we said,
Yes,
right?
above in
Yes,
this picture.
yeah.
Miriam, could you see that where the pointer is?
Yes, I can see that.
They would actually be on the third story on the roof above that second story. The actual.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other comment? Steve or Nancy, your hand is up.
So I have two questions.
One is, I wanted to also clarify the drainage of the stormwater runoff. And also, as Miriam just said, I want to make sure that that runoff is not coming towards my house, as it currently is. And I'm just, again, wanting to verify that, you know, somebody has looked at the plans closely to confirm that it will not be coming directly towards my house.
Nancy, this is Bridget. I think that this came up, Chris, we spoke about, and I know, we talked about, because there was some sort of pipe that you're not really sure, it's on,
really know
it's,
where it's
it's on the path, like it's on the sidewalk, you know? And, but that will be capped off, like there won't, like once, because you're not really sure where it comes from or why water comes from it, or
I have no idea where that's coming from.
Right.
Most of that will be dug up to accommodate the dry well and the creek. So that
Right.
will be troubleshot and disconnected.
Right. So Nancy, it doesn't sound like there will be any sort of drainage at all where there is now, because the pop-up emitter and the dry well are located in the rear of the yard.
Yes. we'll be
Okay, but there's
reducing-
there's one in the front of the house right now. That's also a little concerning for me.
Does it come, is it like a?
It's
a
coming straight
downspout?
towards the path. Yes, it's a downspout with a pretty steep downhill.
So probably it comes off of a gutter into a,
Right.
okay.
Gutter.
And will that go into a sub pump now, or will there still be drainage from the front? I'm just,
I'm sure we
I,
talked about this.
I'm not sure. It's something I would need to talk to the civil engineer about.
That's really important to me.
I believe, if my recollection is correct, that actually there's a drain going down at the base of the stairs down to the lower level. And I believe that was going to be rooted into that same drain to then be rooted to that pop-up, I believe, into the dry well.
So
and
I would
Nancy-
like to suggest that somebody fully understands what's going to be happening.
Nancy, is it a drain by the front of the house, close to your house? Is that where you're
Well,
saying?
all three of them are, you know, or two of them are currently directed towards my house right now. There's one near the air conditioner, I believe. I'm not home, I'm not in town this minute, but
That's
and
moving
then there's
entirely.
another one in the front of the house, but on the, and it's definitely from the gutters. But it's concerning because it's got a really steep decline. And
So
I've
what-
seen water really flow out of there, and especially because there's a path. You know, the last thing you want is water getting on that path and freezing over at some point.
So when we
Well-
do the, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Nancy, as a landscape architect, I can honestly say there is no right reason for anybody to drain off of their property onto another's. You always want to capture water within your property line as much as possible, to not be a bad neighbor or a nuisance to the environment in general. So this does have to get figured out. I hear you completely. Thank you. And I do have another question too.
Can I
Christie-
make one more comment to that?
Mm-hmm.
So the one by the air conditioning unit is moving entirely because that will be excavated to accommodate the stairs. So that won't be there at all. The one in the front, as is customary on that, it actually drains out towards the street. We don't have an inlet for a stormwater runoff sewer for 4 houses on that street. There's actually a civil engineer for the house to south who's trying to petition to have MSD extend the stormwater inlets up the street because it would be customary to run that front roof elevation gutter out into the street, but because there isn't an easement there, they can't do it. Does that make sense?
I
So that
don't
would-
fully understand that. I just know that I don't want water coming with a steep pitch into my house.
Oh, I completely understand. Honestly, this will mitigate what is already there and has been a problem, like I spoke last time, for 40 years. This seeks to eliminate that problem entirely.
The civil engineer knows to not add water to the neighboring properties or to the easement. He's gonna handle that. I just am not sure how he was going to do it, whether it's going to be into the new excavation where the stairwell is gonna be and into the sump, or if he's going to pipe that over to the dry well. So it will be handled. I just don't specifically know how he's going to do that.
And I believe that was part of the, I'm not sure which component, Anna might be able to speak to that, which component of the evaluations by staff and third party. I believe that was part of their components, was assessing that water was not just being put off onto the neighbors.
Yes, the
Um,
civil sheet that they have, sheet C2 is the stormwater control plan. So you can see the calculation, the differential runoff calculation. There's an increase of 0.05 cubic feet per second for the 20-year storm or 15-year storm 20-minute design. That the dry well capacity that they have is gonna cover more than the 0.05 increase. So they have a sump system in this new stairwell leading to the basement that there's connected to the house sump. So the water from that corner that drains into the stairwell will be collected in the stairwell, sent to the sump, which is then sent over to the dry well system. The natural grade here, short of building some sort of wall at the property line, there's no way to stop all water from ever flowing downhill on the site. What we do require people to do is when they are increasing the stormwater is use some sort of mitigation technique such as a dry well that will help increase the capacity of the site to handle that additional runoff so that no additional runoff is sent towards a neighbor. The dry well system that they've designed here has a volume capacity that's even greater than that minimum that we require them to cover of the 0.05 cubic feet per second. So I don't want to make you think that you'll never see any water flow across the path and towards your property, because you will, because they are slightly above grade of where you are. However, based on this plan, you should not see a significant increase, and actually you should see a decrease based on the dry well and the dry creek that they're creating.
I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same area, because I think the dry creek is in the back of the house. Is that correct?
It is. So
And I'm talking more about the front of the house that I'm concerned about.
Right. They can, so when we have them review the design, it doesn't necessarily call out the front versus the back. So it's kind of hard. You have to kind of hard to tell, but they have little dashed lines that represent like the connections to downspouts. In addition to that, we have a daylighting requirement that they need to daylight minimum of 10 feet from property lines. So if they were to disconnect any of their front downspouts from this overall system, they would need to direct them somewhere into their front yard with a minimum of 10 feet before it gets to the property line. So that's where I'm saying that there's still going to be water that you'll see run across their front yard, but there should be a decrease based on their design plus the landscape features. However, we can add a condition if you would like that they under the building permit note specifically the front yard, any front yard downspouts that are not connected to the rear yard system. And then we'll be able to ensure that they're constructed to meet that 10-foot requirement.
That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that front one that she's talking about is the one on the corner. That was the one that was there existing. That whole area will be changed by landscaping, and I believe there's a small concrete strip going across the front just for aesthetics to bring everything to make it even. And so that will be, and like Chris said, I'm not sure if that will be tied directly into that sump or if that will be routed directly to the dry well in the back, but that was already spoken about and planned for in the capture of that. If for some reason I'm mistaken, it's not 10 feet from the lot line now, it's about 3 feet. So that would have to be in a different place that would be more accommodating to Nancy's property than it is currently, if
Okay.
I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that somebody is aware of this and that it's being overseen.
Well, we can include that in the conditions, Nancy.
That would be great.
Okay.
And I have another question too, but I don't know if this is the time or if we're, if there's other areas that we're talking about within the architectural plan.
No, you can go ahead. we've more or less combined the two.
Okay, so my other concern is that since this house hasn't been occupied for, gosh, I guess it's almost 2 years. And I know that there's windows that are open. I'm concerned about if there's any environmental issues going on in the house and how it's going to be remediated. If there's going to be any supervision of whatever those environmental issues might be, whether it's mold or I don't know what the inside of the house looks like, but I know it's been open to the elements.
I can speak to that. The back addition that she's speaking of is being torn off and being replaced by the new addition. So what is actually there, the windows are in disrepair and were as well. So one of them's broken and several have been open just for ventilation. That's all getting torn off and replaced by the new addition. So all of that will be completely gone altogether.
Okay, I still have a concern about the overall house and the environmental conditions because
Yeah.
it's attached to that room.
So the overall house has a good amount that's already been removed. On the interior, the basement was where water was coming in initially, and so the drywall was all removed and mitigated already down there. Even though it hasn't been occupied, this is intended to be my primary residence for many decades to come. And with children, I certainly have no desire to live in anything that isn't, if I'm investing close to $1 million, I plan to make sure that it's habitable. At this point, there isn't any sign of anything further. Certainly nothing that would be a concern to neighbors or would escape in any way. It was mitigated and sprayed with mold. I don't know what they call it, where they spray it down after removing drywall to prevent mold growth and fungal spores already. If there was anything found to be an issue in the basement, which will be finished in its entirety as part of this plan, it would certainly be dealt with to best practices standards if that was an issue going forward.
Nancy, as they go through with the building too, I mean, there'll be different inspectors that will come out, at various points to make sure, the foundation gets poured the way it's supposed to be poured. And, it looks to me like the house will be pretty well gutted.
There won't be an inch of it. That will
Yeah,
be
so I
the
think a
same.
lot of the stuff that might have been exposed to the elements certainly will come out and and I would think once all the new stuff gets in, all the windows will be closed and stuff. So hopefully, the environmental concerns you speak about will go away just simply because everything will be new inside. So.
Right, it's the remediation process that I'm just making sure that we're all in agreement on how that,
Yeah, I don't know that there's any remediation per se. I think that that's usually with asbestos and stuff, and, remediation related to asbestos is generally handled by the county. So I don't know.
There was
Lauren.
no asbestos.
Yeah, I don't think there was any asbestos in the house, so.
okay.
As far as disposal of any like interior contents or anything that would have been damaged or had an environmental concern, if that's what she's thinking, that was already removed and dealt with when the water was discovered in the basement initially. So all that drywall was already taken out, encapsulated, tied off, and disposed of.
Did that answer it, Nancy?
I think so.
Okay, anything further? Steve, you have your hand up.
Yeah, on the plan,
You're muted. You need to unmute
I
it.
did,
No, you didn't. You're now muted. So, can you how do we unmute here?
We can hear you.
okay.
Okay, sorry.
On the plan, it has the dry well listed in the corner of the backyard that is actually the highest elevation. So, which would imply that the water will all be pumped uphill, which that part I don't understand. You could, it's in the the northwest corner, which is the highest elevation on the yard, instead of the lowest elevation where I would think you'd want to put it. so that the water would naturally flow into it.
I don't know if you,
Yep,
just from
so
like a
the-
planning perspective, maybe you can.
Right, this placement is actually ideal. It can be a little bit more costly for the applicants because they do have to get the water from the different collection points around the house up to that. However, when you're pumping into the dry well, what it does is it allows water to disperse below grade. And then on bigger storm events where the dry well can't hold all of the water, it goes to the pop-up emitter, which is kind of its overflow valve. When you have it at your higher point, it allows for more capacity of the water to kind of dissipate as it flows across the grade. So out of the dry well, once the water is put into the dry well, then it will naturally dissipate into the ground, and what flows out of the pop-up will naturally flow across the grade. So having it at that corner allows for more green space and other yard space on this property for the water to infiltrate before it gets to the property line.
Okay. Okay. I mean, there is across the property line on our side, we have a dry well immediately across the property line from that dry well. I don't know if that changes anything. I'm not a soil engineer, but in most big storm events, that dry well is saturated. And so it would seem to me that if you put two dry wells literally back to back, it would make it difficult to for the water to on the Davis's side to percolate. But I'll just throw that out.
It might not be ideal, but the dry wells are not very large. So if you look at the dry well elevation diagram, you can see the kind of diameter of the perforated PVC and the gravel fill that's in there. So it's within their property. However, if they were to place their pop-up emitter in dry well, the minimum distance of 10 feet from their southern property line, it would likely in storm events result in more water flowing off of their property at a faster pace once it hits the pavement just south of them, that walking path. So in large storm events like we get now, there's their capacity will be hit for the majority of the dry wells that are installed in our single family residential on those big storms. So this is still an ideal location to allow for some of the natural infiltration from their dry creek that they have to occur before it hits that southern property line.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
It was the opinion of the civil engineer and also the landscape architect that if we had put it in what would sort of, most people would think would be the ideal place in that other corner, that it would impact more root systems, that it would take up more space, and that the same thing, even some of that natural water that's dissipating into the soil would still flow downhill into that easement rather than capturing it at the highest point. This was in our planning discussed ad nauseum because there is a significant additional cost to pump it uphill, but it really is the only place that will serve the purpose of drying out that easement and also keeping our backyard and the usable green space that's there, as much green space as possible and as dry as possible to make it as functional as we can.
Steve, did that answer go for what you were looking for?
I heard what they have to say, having lived with this water situation for close to 40 years. I don't agree with it, but I heard what they had to say and move forward.
Any other comments on site plan review? We do have the two original staff recommendations, conditions, and a third one about the front yard downspouts are to daylight minimum of 10 feet from the south property line. And I imagine from the east property line also.
Yes, I think it will be from all property lines. So if you maybe make your condition that any downspouts not connected to the dry well system shall be shown to be a minimum of 10 feet from any property line.
We'll incorporate that.
Just to clarify real quickly, does that just mean that we need to have that shown on the plans, or does that mean we need to actually change anything or?
You'll, when you apply for your building permit, you'll just note it with usually it's just a little DS that your civil will add there.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any further comment? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with the first two recommendations and then adding the third. That any downspouts from the building need to be at least 10 feet away from the building. I'm sorry, from the property lines. I'm sorry.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passed. So let's go on to the architectural review now. We've already talked about a few of the items, but Chris or Lauren, do you have any?
The major one was the brick addition. So the two more public facades, the front and the left side being the side adjacent to the public walk. Those, the front didn't change. I didn't change any brick on that, but we were okay with our brick percentage on the front. On the left side of the public sidewalk, we are pretty much all brick. We're over 90% on that side. So that was essentially me adding brick to the entire addition on that side. And that's on sheet A5, by the way, if you need to catch up. And then on sheet A6, with the rear and the right side. On the rear, I added brick to the addition, except for the cantilevered bay. I felt architecturally, you don't want brick on a bay. So I'm trying to make things work out architecturally, but trying to add as much brick as possible. And then I added brick to that side wing to the left of the bay on the rear elevation. And then on the right side elevation, I added brick to the lower level below the cantilevered portion that has that balcony on it. And we added some brick up above that balcony as well to kind of delineate the element that's cantilevered out on that side as well. So I've increased the brick as much as possible without changing any of these box bays to something else other than a box bay or a cantilever. The screen on the roof, the HVAC screen. Last time we talked, we had a more of a Chippendale railing kind of screen, and the comment was made that I can't remember who the person was that made the comment. So I apologize, but we felt like it might have directed more attention to it. So instead of going with the Chippendale railing style, we just more with the flat panel, which mimics the house, the stucco panel with the horizontal lines. So.
And that will match or be very close to the roof.
Yes,
color.
yeah, well, we're gonna match the roof color versus the house color. So it kind of masks it as much as possible.
Okay, because on sheet 6, it looks like it has the same dimension hardy board on it.
Yes. That's my intention. Instead of the Chippendale railing.
But that hardy board would be whatever color the roof color is.
It would be painted to.
Yeah,
match the
painted
roof
to
shape.
match, correct, yeah, yes.
Okay. So it's different from the other hardy board.
Yes,
In
in color, correct.
Yeah, there you can see on the rendering a better example of.
Yeah.
Those are old. On the screen, just so you guys are aware.
It's from a
Or is
month
it?
ago.
No, I think that is the
No, it
newer.
is.
Yeah, it's hard to tell on there,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it's-
it
yeah,
is.
brick here it
It's
looks- yeah,
The
I apologize.
HVA screening on this rendering though is still the more unique patterning instead of the straight lines.
The facade materials are updated. It's the HVAC that's, it still shows that older style there, but that's the color, I believe that you were.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think that may just not have been conveyed to the renderer to change that.
Huh.
I can't even tell if it is from here, but
I can't tell
I'll
from
take
here.
your word
Okay,
for it
yeah.
if you say it is.
I feel comfortable that you've met the intent of the materials. They're not exactly the 75-25, but given the way the house is designed with the bay, I think I would go with it. So that the two revised columns for brick, the primary brick and the secondary hardy board, I felt comfortable with it. However, I noticed that the hardy board has changed in vertical dimension, looks narrower. It's still pretty high per board.
I did narrow it based upon what you were kind of speaking on. Took it down from the 26-inch down to something a little less, more like 14 inches or so.
I didn't actually. to be
Yeah,
honest.
I was,
didn't know that was there because I was pretty adamant that I didn't want it to look like siding, but more like big pieces of stone. Had I known that that was 14 inches, I would not have been okay with that.
so,
Well,
There you go.
we do have roughly 14 inches now as the height of the board. And to me, it no longer is truly commercial in size. So I'm okay with that also, but let's see what everyone else says. Bridget?
I mean, I'm also fine. I think I like how the materials complement each other. This may be a stupid question, but what is on the left elevation, there's something that looks like a black door. What is that? Yes,
that's the fireplace cantilever.
okay, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not this is not my professional background, so I didn't really understand what that was. So yeah, okay, got it. But other than that, I mean, I think it looks, adding in the brick, especially on the side, honestly, the sidewalk side where everybody walks all the time was a good idea. So yeah, I'm fine with it. So
Bob?
I can live with this if you can.
Helen?
I have a question about the shutters. A5 of our new set shows shutters on the front elevation, and A7 doesn't have shutters on the front.
I think this is just a function of we have had about 30 different versions going forward. This, with the removal of the shutters, was supposed to be the more current version. They were just not
Okay.
removed on
They,
A5.
they needed to be removed from A5.
Okay. Right. And the hardy panel siding that you're using, that has a stucco texture?
Correct.
Okay.
That's why I wanted originally for it to be the larger panels, because I wanted it to look like a stucco or like a limestone, as opposed to the smaller panels. To me, look more like a farmhouse look, which I don't think is a thing that is suited for Clayton at all. So the smaller panels to me read farmhouse, but I think the larger panels, especially when painted to match the rest of the house, read more like limestone or a painted stone. That's why I had wanted them to be the larger, but at this point, I'm willing to compromise on anything to get this.
Okay, and what material are the windows?
Well, what we call out here on the drawings, we're gonna do the black aluminum windows with the wood cladding on the inside or the vinyl cladding or the vinyl on the inside, I believe. Did they decide which one they're gonna go with?
It's not gonna be wood clad,
Okay.
no, because it'll be
Okay.
black on the inside too.
Okay, so then they're gonna do all the black vinyl windows.
So you'll have black vinyl windows.
Yep.
I don't believe Clayton allows vinyl windows.
They're within the scope of what the code allows. It's called out on here with what exact manufacturer and what they are. I'm not sure what specifically that is. Somewhere on the plan said it had the exact manufacturer, the exact model number of the windows and
We allow vinyl clad windows.
Vinyl clad, yeah.
Mm.
The drawings on sheet A6 say vinyl window.
whatever,
We'll switch to vinyl clad. That was up in the air as opposed to which model that we were going with.
So it's a wood window with vinyl cladding.
no, it's not a wood window. It's actually, I don't believe I think it's.
Well,
metal
there,
kind of
well,
manufactured.
it's going to be the black metal window or the fiberglass window, or the vinyl clad wood window, I thought. So we have to verify, but we know that if Clayton doesn't allow the vinyl, we're gonna go with one of the other ones, so.
Okay.
It's not a cheap entry level window. It's significantly upgraded, so I'd find it hard to believe that it wouldn't meet specifications. They're all casement windows as opposed to double hung or anything like that.
I haven't
My,
gotten that far to finish a spec on it yet. I'm just trying to get the overall design.
okay,
and so
no, I was
apologize.
just trying to clarify,
Sure.
and if you were thinking just vinyl, alerting you to the fact that
I appreciate it.
Clayton
Yeah, I appreciate it.
doesn't allow it. What kind of a railing are you proposing along the low concrete wall that is shown for the lower level entrance?
We'll probably do a railing to match the second floor railing. Either a painted wood or a metal railing
Are you talking about along this side here?
along the.
There's actually a current
Staircase.
fence that will be on top of, that's the lot line. So there will be an actual fence and then it only comes out about a foot from there. So I don't think we had planned for an additional railing along that.
Okay, is it an area where someone could walk between the wall of the stair down and the wood fence?
I don't believe so. And I'll be honest with you, I apologize. I didn't know we were doing site plan review today. I thought I got the email late and I've been dealing with some other things. So I wasn't prepared for site plan today, but I believe there actually is a space there between the fence on the property line and where the concrete wall, the retaining wall is going to go. Ultimately, I believe we will either landscape that area and just keep that from, you won't be able to walk there.
Yeah, there'd be no way to access because there'll be a gate panel on the front facing side. And there'll be probably a stationary panel because the gate would be too wide to open there that would bar you from being able to walk on there. So short of someone like putting a ladder and climbing up there, it would not be easy for someone to get there. And there will be landscaping there in that couple feet.
Ellen, at this point, it's a landscaped area, so there's no railing required, but we'll verify. The railing requirements will be verified under building permit review by the building official.
Okay, no, that's it, nothing further.
Amy?
I think it's a definite improvement with the adding of the brick. Just quick question on the hardy board reveals. I know previously you were saying they were gonna almost eliminate them or they're gonna be aluminum or something. I'm just curious what you.
So
You won't see it.
yeah, they're inset reveals and they'll be, they're not gonna be a standout feature. It's gonna be a small, kind of just a reveal, just to look like a stone grout joint in a way.
Okay. These drawings just make it seem
They don't.
pop a little bit more.
Yeah.
They don't really do it justice. It's just hard to see on it.
Yeah,
I actually went around and took some pictures of other buildings that had stone like this, that had that same type of look that we would be trying to recreate with that cladding. I know I can't show it because the people who are on Zoom right now can't see, but if you'd like, I can pull it up on my phone and show you what it's intended to look like as far as the reveal.
Sure, so it's just, do you have dimension wise, like how?
Not yet, no, I'm going to spec that on the CDs. What we'll do is we'll come up with a color and a dimension, so.
Okay. Yeah, I think more minimal, the better.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be, maybe I would say a half an inch. I can't give you an
Yeah,
exact,
it's
but
not, it's not something that's gonna be deep enough for.
Okay.
yeah.
But it'll be the same color.
yes, it'll be Greek Villa by Sherwood Williams, which is a
Yes.
warm white.
It's not gonna be black with
No.
you're not, it's not gonna be stripes. Yeah. Shadow line.
Yeah, what he was talking about, the aluminum behind is just the track that the boards set on to hold them in place so that you don't have that three-dimensional board
You don't,
and batten look.
you don't want the edge of the plank or the panel to be exposed to the elements. You wanna cover it, so it's not going to.
For sure. I just want to make sure you weren't like
Yeah.
highlighting it. or
It's not
something
like
that.
Schluter or something on
Yeah.
tile where you see an aluminum finish. It's all completely just the mechanism behind that holds it in place.
That's it. Thanks.
Carolyn?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm hearing a lot of, we're not sure yet. Uh, I'm a little worried about some of the comments that the architecture, et cetera, are saying. I feel like, all right, the rail, we don't know if it's gonna be wood or aluminum, for example. We don't know what that material be. We might change that material. Oh, we might do this. I kind of feel like I want a little bit more information here. And I know that you, I would like some discussion about this because I'm kind of feeling like we don't really know what some of this stuff is going to look like because you guys don't, it seems like to me, from your comments, you don't know
We
what
know
you're specifying.
every bit except for what a 2-foot section that doesn't require railing would be addressed as.
Mm.
We have talked about every inch of this house ad nauseum
Okay.
for 16 months. There is nothing here that we have not discussed, considered, spec'd out, everything. I don't know specifically because I'm not a window installation professional, what the exact makeup is of the windows.
The
I'd be
vinyl
happy to-
or whatever.
I'd be happy to
closet.
submit, I know that they're casement windows and I know exactly what the bid is. I know exactly how much they'll cost. I know the different options because I have the bid from the professional.
Okay.
That's what I don't know off the top of my head. I can't tell you if that one gutter, which is the only one I don't know, is gonna be tied in via the sump or tied in rooted directly to the dry well, because I'm not a civil engineer and that was just beyond my pay grade, so to speak. I know that it was already planned for and accommodated. I just don't know without the civil engineer here
Okay.
which way that's gonna be accommodated.
That's fine. I just want to make sure because I kept hearing during the last few questions, I don't know. I'm
Well-
not sure.
I gotta
No, Paul.
apologize. I've been dealing, this is a personal issue. I've been dealing with 6 inches of sewage in my basement for the last 3 days. I've been out
Whoa.
of the office. I kind of was surprised by this meeting, to be honest with you. I was not prepared. But this, what we're doing, I feel is the right thing. We will make sure that we follow what Clayton wants as far as these items that you're a little concerned about. I understand and I apologize. I am literally coming from a sewage filled basement, or I just jumped out of the shower and came here.
Thank you, Valerie.
Yes.
No, it's okay. I just want to
I'm
make sure
about
that we're
ready
all
to
on the
cry,
same
to be
page.
honest with you, with my issues, and I have to trying to get my mind into this project. I am not here right now and I apologize. So,
It's okay. I've
we
got
will
to
make
do that.
sure that the
Here we
civil
are.
engineer's drawings show that there's a landscaping there, or if we do want a railing, I want it to match the railing at the front of the house.
Okay.
I don't want to introduce a third, second, fourth railing. I want to match the railings.
Yeah, I like that because I think when you start to have different patterns and too many different materials, it starts to become like what I used to call as a kid is the Boogle house. It was an old book, and I'm dating myself on that one, where you just like piecemealed something together. And this is a very nice house. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying when you start to not coordinate all the materials, it starts to become a little bit offsetting. I think this is great. This is a wonderful house. Don't get me wrong, but when I hear people unsure of what decisions have been made, it sends up a red flag for me, that's all. But it sounds like, you guys have it under control, and I just want to make sure that I made a note of it, that's all.
Thank you. The windows will be black. It's just, we got to figure out which model we're going with because of the optional bids. So whether they're all metal or whatnot, so we'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'll just clarify. So the no railing is currently required. If you want to add a condition that if they change that the railing would be added, that area is currently behind the solid fence and planted with coneflower, Missouri switchgrass, and some shrubs. So it is not a live load area that would require a railing currently, but if you want to add the condition just in case they change that plan, that the railing would match. And
You know what
then
the shrubs are, Anna?
there's some existing,
Are they evergreen is where I'm going? Because everything else you just mentioned, will be gone.
so this is behind a solid wood fence
Oh, okay.
along the property line. So there's existing boxwood shrubs. There's some Missouri switchgrass proposed along with the coneflower and hypericum. I'm sorry, I don't, that you probably
Prairie coneflower?
no,
Hypericum?
hypericum.
Yeah, you got it.
All
Close
right,
enough.
there we go. That is all being planted there currently in
Okay.
that strip. So there's no live load. And then as far as the windows are proposed, the application calls for currently calls for black casement and picture windows. The exact specifications for those often are not provided at this level, but will be with their CDs.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I just kept hearing, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So I just had to mention something, but that's okay. I think we're good. I think it's a nice house.
The existing wood fence on the south property line, will that be replaced?
I don't believe so.
Originally, we had called it out as no, but I do know that since the original plans, it is leaning in a couple places.
Yeah.
So that I would have to see, I'm not sure if that can be repaired or if that would need to be replaced. That I can't speak to because I just noticed the other day that it's leaning and probably needs some attention.
I noticed that over the weekend. If it can be repaired, the rest of it looked fine.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just, I really don't know because I didn't look at the backside to see whether it was repairable. I just noticed when I was walking my kids to school that it was leaning in a spot. So I think the first cause would be to see if we could repair it and keep what's there and matches. If not, then we would obviously come back and apply for a fence permit to be able to replace that.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, and Lauren, I'm just, because I have trouble, but I'm not, again, this is not my profession. I don't have trouble visualizing, but you probably know better. And obviously you do have young children. So you feel comfortable that you don't need a railing between the fence. I just don't want anybody to fall. I don't know. Cause again, I
No, I
can't picture the space between where the steps go just to make sure
It's
a
kind of-
friend isn't, again, just to make sure that that area is cordoned off so kids don't fall over into the area.
Yeah.
I
I totally understand. I have an 8-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. So if there was any way for them to get up there or any reason for them to be.
I mean,
up
and
there,
I'm
I
sure
would-
you'll adjust as need. I mean, I would.
Yeah,
you know,
I
obviously
think,
to
and I
keep-
don't have the landscape plan directly in front of me right now. I think there's actually a tree or large shrub that would block from the backyard being able to access it at all. The only access from the front would be at that gate and there'll be a fixed panel that would bar you, without literally putting a ladder up or.
Yeah, and
rock
that's fine.
climbing.
If that's the case, I think a shrub is not going to stop a child from going to chase a ball. So, but a fence like
Yeah, and I think
like
the section in question is about this big anyway, and I do think that there is a big boxwood blocking that entirely, so that might pretty much stop it, but I will certainly look at that. That may be, I'll have to look back at exactly what was planned for there. Yeah, but I'm 100% confident that no railing would be needed. If ever there was a question that a railing was needed, I'd be the first one
I
to
just, I agree. I just
add
didn't
that
get
in,
sure.
yeah.
Anything else? No? Well, we did have one condition posed by the staff. We've talked about the windows and the railing, if needed. So do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to approve with the staff recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're on the way.
When are you hoping to get started?
We had to wait because we had to adjust the brick load, that he had to have his engineers adjust the structure, so we can't get the final plans drawn up for the building permit submission until structural engineer is finishing adjusting that. But I hope to have the plan filed as soon as we get the conditional use permit on the 10th. We hope to file on the 11th if possible. At this point, we're up against getting excavated and the
Right,
foundation
before the
poured
winter.
before it gets cold. So like, if I can have a permit and get that old addition demoed and have the new foundation and basement poured
Right, yeah.
within 30 days, it could, I'm on board with getting this done as soon as possible. We've been in a rental now for almost a year, and we sold our old house in Old Town almost a year ago now, and we've been uprooted. We want nothing more than just to get this finished and be done.
Well, we wish you luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for working with us.
Yeah, and I apologize about my frustration as well. This has been a daily conversation now for 16 months, to the point where it's just taken over our lives. So we just want to get it done at this point, and whatever that takes at this point, we're willing to do. So
Well, good luck.
All right.
We'll be watching.
Great.
I have a
Thank
plumber
you.
at my house waiting to get in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I apologize. We weren't sure if we needed to be here today or if this was just if we're continuing it until after the 10th. So that's when I called Anna today at about 11. I called Chris and said, can you please be here?
Okay. Well, we're glad both of you were here.
Awesome.
So. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
That's all you need from me? Okay, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too. Amy,
Nothing further.
Helen,
Nothing further.
Bob,
I really feel for her frustration. But nothing further.
Bridget. Carolyn,
Yeah, I do apologize for my having COVID. Next time for our meeting, I really would rather be in person, so I feel terribly about that. Honestly, my fever's at 101 something now. So I'm sorry that I'm not there, but I'm also happy for you guys that I'm not, right?
right.
Oh,
Well, we hope you improve quickly.
I feel like it's a cold. I mean, I hope it doesn't progress. So, thank you.
Ryan,
Nothing further.
Anna,
Yes, so on Sunday, the 8th, Ryan and Hobie will be at the music nights at Oak Knoll Park with some engagement for our comprehensive plan, along with, I believe, Tony Searing, Director of Parks and Recreation, will be there for the Livable Communities Plan, doing some engagement. So tell your neighbors and friends to go to the last musical nights in Oak Knoll Park of the season. And then we will also be doing some engagement at the Blues Home Opener event here at City Hall, which is on the 12th of October. So come by, tell anybody that works or lives around here to come by, get some free lunch from one of the food trucks, and engage about the comprehensive plan.
Great.
Oh, also, I will send you an email out, but we are going to have the joint Plan Commission Board of Aldermen meeting at the first Board of Aldermen meeting in November. So I'll follow up with an email to you all to attend that, but our consultants will be there giving an update on the presentation and as we move into the next phase of scenario planning.
Stephanie. Okay, I'd like to thank the staff for the CUP study and outcome and description tonight. I think it probably helped all of us. I know it certainly helped me. So we appreciate that greatly. I did have one other thing that has come up before. But we have, well, we had this project and we had the 600 West Polo Drive project. And as I'm preparing for when applicants come back, I have trouble pulling back the discussion in the original. Because our meeting minutes don't capture much at all. The written ones, they really only capture a quick description and what the outcome is. And I'll be honest, I have trouble finding the recording. And when I look for the recording, it takes me forever to figure out where in the recording. So is there some way that we can make it a little easier? Because I learned years ago that a filing system is only as good as the retrieval is. And I'm having horrendous problems retrieving information.
So whenever I take notes for the minutes, I write down the time of everything. If you'd prefer, I can just, if you want me to send you videos, I can note timestamps there. I can note timestamps in the minutes. It's whatever you want to do, but I keep them personally for the same reasons for the next day whenever I go and write them.
That would be a help. Could that?
If we could add the timestamps just onto your minutes when each item starts, that would be great. As far as accessing the recording, the easiest way to do it is actually through the agenda and minutes page on the website. So if you go to claytonmo.gov and you hover over the government tab, one of the drop down that comes up, there's an agenda and minutes. You click on that page and then has all of the meetings. You can filter by meeting type. So you could filter just for plan commission meetings. When Brian sends the recordings to get added to our YouTube page, then there'll be kind of a link, or you can just follow our YouTube page. So another way to
Easier said than done.
if you go to YouTube and you search for City of Clayton, Missouri, it will come up, our YouTube page will come up, and then you can click on the videos and it has the Board of Aldermen and the Plan Commission.
And then two things to follow up on that. When I go in looking for agendas and meeting minutes, shouldn't all that information be in the meeting minutes? We haven't had anything posted, I think, since July.
Anything posted for what?
I was looking at the Plan Commission
Are you referring to minutes online?
minutes, yeah.
There should be minutes posted. I can go back and double check that, but usually once we approve the minutes the next day, I go and I post them.
I thought so, but for a month ago, when 515 was originally there, early September.
I'll go take.
It looks like one of one of the September ones is the same, but we'll make sure that gets updated because everything prior to that is on there.
And this only comes up when we have a project that's extended to another date. I always like to go back and read things so I'm up to date.
Right. We can probably also investigate hyperlinking the minutes to the YouTube. We'll look into that. Yeah, we could, and then that way it would all be correct, even more links.
Would be great, because I did have one resident of Polo who was not here 2 weeks ago, who said, "Where can I find the minutes?" And I had a tough time telling them how to go about it.
What is the name of the YouTube?
I usually just go to the YouTube homepage and then
Right.
I'll type in.
City of Clayton.
And then videos.
See those minutes from if it was from the last meeting, those wouldn't even be available till tomorrow. So if there's a resident that's looking for a meeting that just happened, those wouldn't be available. Till
Yes,
after the
that's
next
correct.
meeting.
We don't post them until after they're approved by you
Oh, that's.
at the following meeting. But that's why we could, after you approve it, the timing should work where we can link the YouTube video onto the posted minutes. But the YouTube video gets posted before the minutes get posted, the recording. So you can see that earlier than you would be able to see the minutes.
Well, having it coordinated would be helpful, and also having the minute start time would be helpful.
Yeah.
Go back and forth.
I gotta watch how I dress then.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be really helpful though, to be able to link how you can go to YouTube from.
Right. Yeah, I think I think Ryan can figure it out. He's pretty snazzy with the technology stuff, so.
I have
Thank you.
faith, I have faith, Ryan.
Yep.
Do it.
you'll make it easy and transparent for us.
I will do my best.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? No? Okay, we're adjourned. See you all 2 weeks? Yeah, okay. 16, yeah.